Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello, my name is Dr. Himanshu Tyagi and I am teaching this course on heat and mass transfer. We are looking at the topic of mass transfer since last lecture. So, we will continue with that today. Let us look at what we did in the last lecture. So, we will do a brief recap before we start today's lecture. So, we introduced the topic of mass transfer, and the main thing to keep in mind is that it is very similar to all the topics that we have studied in heat transfer and as well as momentum transfer. And as the coefficients for all these three actually indicate, they have the same units. The first one is mass diffusivity, the second one is heat diffusivity or thermal diffusivity, and the last one is momentum diffusivity, which we are knowing as kinematic viscosity. So, all of them have the units meter square per second. We started off last discussion with this very knowledgeable video over here, which shows diffusion taking place in two water containers. So, this is a very good pictorial view of diffusion, because there is difference in concentration between the top point where this yellow dye is added and the bottom point at the start of the video, at this point. So, then due to difference in concentrations, if C1 is greater than C2, which is essentially 0 when time started at the beginning of video, then this diffusion will take place of mass, just like the diffusion of heat took place if we have two temperatures T1 and T2 across any body. Then we looked into the details of the analogy. I started off with Fourier's law of conduction, which we have looked at long time back, and we are very familiar with that. And with that, I introduced the Fick's law of diffusion, which is given by this equation, but we have not formally studied what any of these parameters actually mean. Then we also looked at the analogy between convective mass transfer and convective mass heat transfer and convective mass transfer. So, this is something that we will study in the next lecture onwards, and I also mentioned to the students that there is no known analogy for radiative heat transfer as compared to radiative mass transfer. So, for mass there is no way of radiating mass from one part of the universe to another part. Then I tried to explain with the very simple example of steady state, like shown over here, that steady state heat transfer may exist in one dimensional plane wall. So, if the temperature across the wall is held at some temperature T1, let us say 80 degrees and 20 degrees across it, then we can figure out very easily what is the rate of heat transfer which is taking place across it. Then similarly, today's lecture onwards, we will be able to figure out the same thing for mass transfer. If as shown in blue dots over here, if a given species, a species could be, let us say, water vapor in air, it could be carbon dioxide in air, it could even be air in water. So, there is a medium in which this species may travel or transport itself, and that medium could be solid, liquid or gas. So, when this species transfers itself across it under steady state, so we will have a constant mass flow rate due to diffusion, as long as, and the provided conditions are, these two boundary conditions, these two concentrations are held fixed. So, then we looked at various real life examples such as smoke in air and the movement of oxygen in air as well, as shown in this diagram over here, that there is certain amount of dissolved oxygen in water, and that goes in because of diffusion from the air. So, today we will continue this particular topic, look at different type of cases like shown in this particular slide, that whatever is given on the blue color on the left side over here is in terms of heat transfer, or we are looking at the temperature profile T as a function of x, and the same thing we will see on the right hand side in terms of mass transfer, or we will see concentration as a function of x, and I can convert concentration into density as a function of x. So, we looked at very interesting cases, straight line first. So, this is a straight blue line, then we looked at the parabolic temperature profile, and then we looked at two different slopes of temperature profile, which meant that there could be two different mediums connected to one another, and we saw the same analogy for that for mass transfer as well. So, it was very interesting analysis that we performed. We even looked at the analogy not only for steady state, but for transient heat transfer as well. So, as shown in blue color over here on the left hand side, if a initially cold wall which was throughout at 10 degrees centigrade is heated from both sides with hot air on the left side as well as right side, and it is kind of heated unequally, so that the left air is very hot, high temperature air, and on this side this is low temperature air. So, eventually the wall will reach a steady state temperature, which is given by this red slope over here. And the same thing would happen in the case of mass transfer as well, that even for transient case, let us say in a medium, initially the concentration of a given species is constant at some value. So, if I can replace concentration with the density as well. So, I can assume that there is a wall in which the amount of humidity is very low throughout when we begin. So, we started off with this green line over here, very low humidity, and then humid air or moist air is flowing on both sides. So, believe it or not, moisture then seeps in inside the wall from both the sides, and then shown in these blue curves over here, the moisture content will keep on rising until it reaches some steady state value, where it will be higher on one side and lower on another side, and then we will be able to solve these type of problems as well if we understand mass transfer nicely. So, with that, let us go ahead with today's lecture, in which we will going to formally study the Fick's law of diffusion, which I have written over here on the right hand side, which gives, if I can write it slightly bigger, it gives the expression for mass flow rate of diffusion as a function of certain constant. So, we will figure out what is this constant d and what do these subscripts a, b stand for, multiplied by cross sectional area A, multiplied by the gradient of density of species A. So, in order to reach this particular expression, we will have to do certain analysis in detail about mass diffusion, and we can study it in two ways, and both are equivalent to one another. One way we can study is everything in terms of mass, and then we will figure out there is something called the density, which is given in kgs per meter cube. So, that will be our defining variable. Instead of that, we can also study it in a different way, where we study everything in terms of moles, and there our defining variable will be C, and this will be kilomole per meter cube. So, for the time being, let us write things in C. So, C stands for the concentration on the molar basis. As we can see in this diagram over here, what is tried to show over here are lot of black dots are shown, which actually represent, let us say, some particular species. So, let us say we are talking about some species, I may call it carbon dioxide. So, these could be, or I can call them water vapor. So, let me call them water vapor. So, these are water molecules which are very densely packed on the left side, and their concentration is very low on the right hand side. In other words, because of this particular image, I can clearly see that the concentration 1 C1 is much greater than C2, and if I have to draw a profile, it would look something like this over here, shown in black color. And this also immediately tells us that there will be some diffusion of these water vapors from the left towards the right hand side, and our challenge is to figure out what is the amount of this diffusion taking place, and for that we have to look at Fick's law of diffusion, but before that we have to study it in two ways. So, first of all we will study the analysis from the mass basis, and then we will look at it from a mole point of view. So, let us go to a new slide, and there we will try and look at the diffusion law from a mass basis. So, let us take a container which is closed right now, and it contains of a mixture of two gases. So, over here the species that I am interested in, I am going to draw it with the black dots. So, I can represent it as water vapor. So, this is water vapor, and this I will call as species A. This is the first species, and whatever is remaining is filled with air. So, all this white portion over here, here and here, all of this together is air, and this I will call as species B, and because this is dominating, this is what will be our medium. So, what I am trying to show is, let us say I am standing inside this classroom right now. So, this classroom is like a closed container, and that is represented by this cube drawn on the slide. Then there would be some, it is filled totally with air. So, everywhere air molecules are there, which is predominantly oxygen, nitrogen, little bit of carbon dioxide. Then because there will be some perspiration taking place, some evaporation, certain regions will have pockets of high H2O molecules as well. So, those molecules I am interested in, which is what I have drawn over here in the slide with black dots. Everywhere else is air, and this container I am interested in analyzing on a mass basis. So, the first quantity I will define is, so these two components of the mixture, now I will start calling them A and B instead of calling them water and air. So, if I ask the students to help me write what is the density of air, water, or density of the A species in this particular container, which is having the volume, total volume is V. So, how is density defined? So, density is simply mass of species A divided by the total volume, which means I can write it in this expression m A. So, this subscript A stands for this particular species over here, which is water. So, this is the expression for rho A, and similarly I can write the expression for rho B. So, for rho B also I will use the same expression over here. I will just replace a numerator, instead of mass of species A, I can write mass of species B. The total volume remains V. Okay. And based on this I can also calculate what is the total density of this particular container, that is the total mass divided by the total volume, and that will be nothing plus but m A plus m B divided by V. So, total density, if I represent it by rho, I can simply write it as the sum of density A and density B. So, rho is simply A plus B together. So, this one is straightforward. Now, let me define something known as the mass fraction. So, let me define something known as the mass fraction, and I am talking of some species. So, let us say I am talking of species A, and it will be given by the symbol W I. So, I stand for the ith species. So, here I have two species. So, I am going to talk about W A and W B, which means W A I am defining as the mass of species A divided by the total mass, which is essentially m A divided by m, okay, where m is given as the total mass, which is A plus B. Similarly, I can define the mass fraction for species B, which is air in this particular case. So, it will come out to be simply mB divided by m. Can I also write in terms of density, which means what is mB from here? mB I can write is rho b into volume, and what is m? M is essentially, this is m by v is equals to rho. So, I am completing this particular expression. So, m is total density into volume. So, what I get from here is this is this, and similarly I can get from here, this is rho a divided by rho b. Now, if I ask the student what is W a plus W b equal to, so if you do some particular arithmetic over here, after that what we will achieve is that the mass fraction turns out to be 1. What happens if we have more than 2 species inside that container? For example, in this room, if instead of just water vapor and air, we also add some helium, some neon, some other gases as well. So, in general, the sum of the mass fraction of all those gases, if there are n gases inside this room, can be expressed as that sigma W I from I equals to 1 to n is given as that sum will turn out to be 1. Now, with all this background over here, the definitions of density and mass fractions, now I can go ahead and formally define the Fick's law of diffusion. And this Fick's law I am writing in the mass form, because later on we will repeat the same thing and do it on the mole basis as well. So, this is Fick's law of diffusion in bracket on the mass basis. Which means formally I will write it in this way, that mass flow rate through diffusion of species A. So, we go back, or I can draw it over here. What I am thinking of is, let us say this is species A, which is highly dense over here, little less dense on this side and very less dense over here. So, this is my species A, all the black dots are species A. Whatever is remaining empty space is species B. And in my previous example, I had taken A as water and B as air. So, that is what this equation gives me. This is telling me minus DAB A differential of density A with distance. So, let us look at each of these particular terms in this equation, and let me write the units as well. So, mass flow rate will turn out to be in kgs per second. So, this symbol over here d will turn out to be meter squares per second, area is always meter square, and this will be kgs per meter cube, and because there is another x over here, then one more meter will be there. And let me define, I think all other things are known to us already. So, this one is defined as the diffusion coefficient of species A in a stationary binary mixture which contains A plus B. So, the important word over here in this definition is the stationary binary mixture. In other words, what we are telling is that our medium, which in this case is air and we have denoted as species B, that has got to be stationary, it can't be moving for this definition for the diffusion coefficient to hold true. and the units for that are already given over here, that is meter square per second. Now, I will ask question to the students, is there a way I can pull density outside this bracket from here, which means is there a way I can pull density outside. Now, if you look at, answer can come from this diagram over here. If density is not a function of x, then I can pull it out, but we can clearly see over here, if I define the x axis like this, if this is my axis over here, x axis, then density is definitely a function of x. I can even draw it like this over here. So, density here is very high, density here is low. So, rho 1 is greater than rho 2. But I can replace density as a variable with something else, and that help I will take from here, from the previous slide on here. So, there is a small mistake here, this ratio is rho A by rho. Okay. So, what I am going to do is use this particular equality and let me write it on the next page. So, whatever I have circled over here in this red color, this is the mass fraction of species A. This I am going to write on the next slide over here. So, W A is simply rho A divided by rho. So, I am going to make use of this particular equality in order to write that rho A is simply density into W A. So, I will ask the question to students, what is the difference between density of species A and density? So, this density on the right hand side, which I am underlining right now, this density with a star over here, this is actually a constant value. Why? Because it is the overall density of the container. In this particular room, there is a parameter called the overall density of the room, which means that even if there is non-uniformity of species inside the room, let us say there is something which is burning, producing smoke on the right hand side of the room over there. So, I can clearly see that the density of smoke there is greater, here it is medium, on smoke has not reached towards the left side. So, there the smoke density is less, but I can replace that variation in density with the variation in mass fraction, which means if I can do that mathematics over here, d rho A by dx, I can write as d rho into W A by x, and since the variable now has become W A. So, this is the variable and rho becomes a constant, which means I can take rho outside the bracket now, and I can write it is rho into d W A by dx, and this thing I can plug it in back in the diffusion equation over here, which means I can write the diffusion equation in one more way, which is simply m dot diff for species A is minus d A B, and I will put a rho in front over here. So, rho I have taken out. So, what remains is d W A by dx. So, these two equations, the one written in black and one written in the green, are the same equation. I have just changed the variable that I was using, and just for the sake of completion, let me write the units for these as well. This is still kgs per second, this is kg per meter cube density, this is meter square per second, meter square. This thing on the bottom is meters, this thing on the top, what is the unit for mass fraction? It does not have any unit, so I will just put a dash. Mass fraction is a ratio, I can write it in percentage form 50% mass fraction, or I can call it as a ratio 0.5, but it does not have any units. So, I hope things are clear now. What is DAB? We will look at it very soon, that what is the formal definition of DAB, which is the diffusion coefficient of species A in a stationary binary mixture. So, let us go back one slide over here. This is where we have started the analysis, I think 2 slides back here, and the first part was on the mass basis, and this is something that we have completed now. Now, let us look at it from the mole basis. So, it will turn out to be a very straightforward and simple, and we are just doing the whole thing on the mole basis, which is, so here I can do it slightly quickly. So, it is the same container, same particles are there, the black particles are there, and that I will call as species A, and in my case I know the species I am considering as water, and whatever is remaining, the white portion here, here and here, everywhere, that is species B, that is the medium in which A is travelling, and in my case I am assuming it is air. Okay. Which means now I can define, like I had defined density earlier, in this particular case I will define a parameter called C, which will be defined as the molar concentration. And the units for this will be kilomole per meter cube. So, essentially what does C tell me? In fact, there will be 2 or 3 C's over here. The first C will be for Ca. So, this is the molar concentration of species A, and it is defined as, if the container over here has the volume V, volume equals to V, then I can count the number of atoms or molecules of A, convert it into number of moles. So, I will get the number of moles of species A and divided by the volume V, and this unit will turn out to be, so I am writing the number of moles in kilomoles. So, it is simply kilomoles per meter cube. Similarly, I can write for species B, it is simply NB divided by V, which means I can also define the overall molar concentration of this whole container, which means all the number of molecules or the moles of molecules over here, which is simply N divided by V, and this N I can write it in terms of N A plus N B, because total number of moles is simply the addition of number of moles of A and B, and this turns out to be equal to C A plus C B. So, this straightforward arithmetic till now. Now, let me define a new parameter which I am calling mole fraction. So, that I will write over here. Just as in the last analysis we have defined something called the mass fraction, which we had given as W, here we will define the mole fraction that I will call as Y, which means if there are 2 or 3 or more species over here, in this particular case I will have 2 Y's in my example, Y for species A and Y for species B, which means over here Y A is defined as the mole fraction of species A. So, it is the fraction of moles. So, essentially it is N A divided by the total number of moles. Okay. And using this particular fraction over here, the molar concentration definition, I can also write it as C A divided by C. So, the same analysis I can do for species B. So, it will become mole fraction of species B, and this is simply number of moles of species B divided by the total number of moles, and I can also write it in this form. So, just a reminder to the student, these two equations, if you look carefully, they will appear exactly same as the equation given 2 slides back, but for the mole mass fraction. So, here you remember we are now talking about mass fraction. So, in mass fraction we are taking ratios of mass, which is turns out to be equal to the ratio of density. So, we get W A W B. For Y A Y B we get the ratio of the number of moles, which turns out to be same as the concentration ratio. So, we get Y A and Y B. So, if you remember earlier, I will write over here, earlier we saw that the sum of all the mass fractions turned out to be 1. So, in the whole mixture, if we sum Wi, we get 1. Over here, what do you think Ya plus Yb will turn out to be? Again, it will be same as 1, which means the same relation I can write for Y also. So, I can sum Y for all the species inside this mixture over here, and in this case, so I can write in our case n is equals to 2. Maybe I should use some different n, because this capital N I have already taken over here. So, maybe I will use small n to write over here. So, this is small n. Do not confuse it with this capital N, which is the number of moles. So, this n is just a summation script, which means based on this particular analysis which we are doing on the mole basis, just as we had written the Fick's law of diffusion for the mass basis, now we can go ahead and write the same type of equation. So, we can write Fick's law of diffusion on the mole basis. What would it mean? Instead of mass flow rate taking place across a particular medium, now we will have the mole flow rate, or the mole flow rate will be written as kilomoles per second. How many kilomoles per second is travelling across the medium? So, that equation will turn out to be very similar to the earlier one, and instead of density over here, we will have concentration of species A. So, this I will write over here. And we can check the units as well. This will turn out to be meter square per second. This will simply be meter square. The denominator will be meters, and what was concentration? This was kilomole per meter cube. Which means if some sort of water vapor moisture is travelling across the wall from here, here, then it goes over here. So, this I can write in terms of diffusion, that how much water vapor is diffusing across my wall. So, I can give the value maybe in 1 kg per second, or I can write it in terms of n diff as well, which is this over here. So, instead of giving it in mass flow rate, I can give it in terms of the, let us say I am just putting some number, that how many moles are getting transported across this. So, that is the importance of this particular relationship. And can we do one more thing like we have tried to do earlier? Is there a way I can take concentration outside this particular differential? In order to do that, I can use this particular equality. So, if I ask the student, is there a way I can convert it into some other multiplier with C? So, the answer is yes. We can use this particular relationship where this is a constant. Why is capital C a constant in this particular room? The whole concentration, why is it constant? Because the total number of molecules are conserved. Even if there is air, there is smoke, water vapor, if I count each one of them, that the total number is conserved, their densities can differ. If smoke is accumulated on one side, I can say the concentration of smoke is higher there, little bit less there and very low over there. So, the overall value of concentration is a constant. So, I can use that analogy and take it outside the bracket. So, it appears like this now. So, the same relationship I can write. So, the rate of diffusion of species A on the molar basis is simply this into Ya divided by dx. So, these two equations again I will write over here are exactly the same. And I will make another claim that these two equations, which I have written as same, are also same to these two equations. How? Because is there a way I can connect m dot to n dot, because earlier it was m dot differential. So, the mass flow rate of diffusion across a particular distance A, it has to be proportional to the molar rate of diffusion across a particular distance. And what is this constant of proportionality going to be? So, let us do one more analysis. We can write it in this form: the total mass of species A is proportion to the total number of moles of species A simply multiplied by its molecular weight. Isn't it? And the same thing we can do over here. So, MB is simply NB into molecular weight of B. So, I will put a dot over here because it should be M. No, we will put the dot later on. This is just the total mass. In other terms, based on these particular relationships over here, sorry, this should be NA, okay, which means the same thing I can write in terms of density and concentration. And as a matter of fact, the same thing I can write in terms of mass fraction and mole fraction. Here just one additional term will come over here. So, if we want to see if the units actually balance out, the mass of species A in the container is always given in kilos, the number of moles is given in kilomole, capital M is the molecular weight, which is given in kg per kilomole. So, this is the molecular weight. Of species A. Okay. And what is capital M? This thing over here. So, this is the molar mass of the mixture, or this is the molecular weight of the mixture. And how can it be given? So, this is molecular weight is essentially total mass of that particular container divided by total number of moles of that container, and this thing is very useful when we are looking at the molecular weight of air. Air by itself is not a molecule, it consists predominantly of nitrogen and oxygen. When in study of combustion, rate of reaction, we are always interested in molecular weight of air, whereas by itself it does not have any weight, but we can take the average weight, the weighted average weight of nitrogen and oxygen. So, something like if oxygen has a particular molecular weight, MO2, nitrogen has a particular molecular weight, if I multiply it by their number of moles. So, if I assume that 20% oxygen is there and 80% nitrogen is there. So, this will give me the total molecular weight of air, this particular expression over here. Okay. So, with this analysis in the last 3-4 slides, what we have tried to do is look at the Fick's law of diffusion, which we have clearly understood with the help of several examples, several situations which occur in real life. We have also studied it now formally, looked at all 4 types of its equation. The first 2 cases, these 2 same equation turn out to be for the mass basis that we are shown over here. So, these 2 are on the mass basis, and they give the results in kgs per second. And in the next 2 form over here, this is the same as the Fick's law of diffusion. Here we are getting it on the mole basis, and here the flow rate, instead of kg per second, we are getting kilomole per second. Okay. I hope students are able to understand what we have done till now. Now, let us focus on this particular parameter which I am highlighting in yellow color over here. And we will talk about this diffusion coefficient. So, this is the diffusion coefficient. So, let us talk about the diffusion coefficient in slightly more details. We have already seen its units. We know why are there two subscripts below D, why does it say not just D, but DAB. So, there are two species that we are interested in. There is species A which is moving inside species B, that is why the diffusion coefficient has these two subscripts AB in front of it. So, now let us look at DAB, whose formal name is the binary diffusion coefficient. Its units is meter square per second. Under what conditions can we look at the binary diffusion coefficient? Any mixture that is present in which there is a particular medium, in which there is another species which is present over here. So, if this is my species A shown in black color over here, and whatever is in white over here is species B, then for this particular case there will be a DAB. And I can give a video example for this. If you go back few slides to where we had started off today's lecture, which means for this particular slide as well, there will be a value of DAB, where A is the species which is the yellow color dye, and what is species B in this particular case? In what medium is that yellow dye mixing? It is simply liquid water. Okay. So, this is a very good pictorial example of one particular case where DAB is very critical. So, let us look at some other cases as well where DAB value is critical. So, let us start with the simplest example, which is that for dilute gases at ordinary pressure. So, here the important term is that it has to be a dilute gas. Then it can be shown that for very close to ideal gases, DAB is actually proportional to temperature and inversely proportional to pressure. And as a matter of fact, it is directly proportional to the 1.5 power or 3 by 2 power of temperature. So, what it is essentially telling us, let me give one example as well. So, in this particular example, let me take A as water and B as air, and let me assume room conditions. So, temperature is about 298 Kelvin, capital K. So, the DAB value as per the tables given in literature, that value is available to us, and it turns out it is 2.5 into 10 to the power minus 5. So, I will erase this part, and the units is meter square per second. Over here, and it is also equal to the same value is dBA. Now, this is the interesting part, that when the mixtures are dilute, it is kind of irreversible as well, which means if, for example, some molecules of water vapor are present in the air, then this is how it is moving. If the reverse was also true, that we are filled this whole room with just water vapor steam at superheated condition, and then some air molecules are present over there, then the A and B subscript will reverse, the value will come out to be exactly the same. And this is very interesting, and now we can see with this particular numerical value available to us that if we go to higher temperature, of course, please remember all these proportionality, temperature always we have to take in Kelvin and pressure will be in the standard units over here. So, if we double the pressure, what it is telling us that the diffusion coefficient will reduce by half. So, why is it so? So, that is something we will try to analyze, and when we increase the temperature, then the diffusion coefficient will actually increase. In other words, for the same density gradient, remember Fick's law. Fick's law is that mass flow rate through diffusion is directly proportional to density gradient multiplied by cross sectional area multiplied by DAB, the diffusion coefficient, which is why generally why we go back to that particular video, when temperature is higher for a given case over here, even though this is not ideal gas, this is for liquid water, even for liquid water at higher temperature, the diffusion coefficient increases, which is why we may say over here that m dot diffusion is greater in this particular case compared to the m dot diffusion in this case. Now, if you look at Fick's equation, all quantities are perhaps same. The density gradient over here, the density gradient when it started, both were same, cross sectional area is same because glass has same size, same amount of water is there. So, the only thing which is increasing the mass flow rate over here, that this DAB must be greater than this EAB, and the main effect is due to temperature. That is why yesterday when we looked at it, we kind of hinted that perhaps it seems that TA is much greater than TB in this particular case. If this is container A, this is container B. Okay. I will give one or two more examples. This one we have talked about gases right now. Let us now talk about solids and liquids as well. So, in general what we can write is that let me first give the values and then I will explain over here. So, if we take certain pairs of material and talk about their DAB value, so that I will present in this table over here. So, let us say the first pair is that CO2 gas is moving through a solid and that solid is rubber. And then in another case I will take hydrogen gas is again moving through a solid iron, and in the third case hydrogen is moving through nickel. So, these are the three pairs that I am considering, and I will write their DAB values over here, which is in meter square per second. So, now you see and compare and try and compare with this DAB value. So, this is 1.1 into 10 to the power minus 10 meter square per second. This is 2.6 into 10 to the power minus 13, 1.2 into 10 to the power minus 12. So, we can clearly see that in solids over here, the DAB value has reduced by several order of magnitudes, which means I can say that DAB for solid is much less than that of the DAB for gases. And what we will find out is that the liquid ones will come in between. So, there is a greater than sign over here, greater than sign over there. Now, what is the physical reason that gases have the maximum flow rate for diffusion? And this is something that we have seen in reality as well. If some smoke is there, then it spreads very fast through the gas. If we add some particular dye, or let us say I add coffee or some sort of a color dye to my milk or to water, then it will spread pretty fast as well. But if we are adding something in the solid, then it may take long time for that to happen. For example, when carbon is added to iron to make it harden, and for example, in semiconductor industry, lot of dopants are added to semiconductors in order to make it the P or N type intrinsic material. So, there it has to be melted first, because in solid form the diffusion will take very slow. So, in order to make it fast, solid is melted, new material is added to it, and then it spreads out, diffuses very fast over there. Now we will see, come back to this particular example over here. So we were talking about the influence of temperature. So that temperature is also very important. So let me give one more table over here, which will show the influence of temperature. So this table shows it very nicely. So here we can give DAB values for different temperatures. So let us say if the temperature is 10 degree, then 50 degree or 100 degree, and all these values are for the binary mixture water plus air, which is what we were considering over here. This is also for water plus air. So I will write over here, this is for water plus air. So DAB value as a function of temperature, there is a clear increase in the DAB value. It goes from 2.25, 2.96 and 4, and all are multiplied by 10 to the power minus 5 over here. Now this becomes very interesting, that if, for example, there is a temperature difference across a particular medium, then the mass flow rate, the diffusion mass flow rate, it may become very complicated. It will be driven by Fick's law as well as because of temperature gradient. Because if temperature is rising in a certain point, then DAB value will also become a function of temperature. And DAB in Fick's law is kind of analogous to thermal conductivity in the Fourier's law, because if you look at those equations, that is the proportionality constant. So if you remember, we had considered different cases as well. So if in a plane wall thermal conductivity is constant, then the temperatures here is T1, T2, it goes like this. But if the thermal conductivity is not constant, then the temperature profile might become like this, which means this one I will draw in black color. Even for mass transfer, if concentration is constant at this particular point, so under steady state, this is how m dot diffusion will take place. But if there is a temperature dependence as well, then it may go like this as well. So these are very interesting things, but they are beyond this particular course over here. But so I am just mentioning it to the student, that those who are interested may consider looking at these kind of complicated phenomena as well. So now we have looked at the Fick's law in full detail. We have looked at that particular analysis from the mass point of view as well as from the molar point of view. Now we will meet for the next lecture, because today's lecture is almost time is over. Then we will look at some exciting examples which we will be able to solve with the help of this analysis that we have learned today. So let me give a few examples today itself, but we will solve them completely next time. So let us say one thing we will consider is, if we have a big container over here which contains at very high pressure certain gas. So this we will try to solve as a solved example over here, and I am going to assume that gas is hydrogen. This metal container I am going to assume is made of nickel, and this container is huge. Just look at the radius over here. We are going to assume this inner radius R1 is about 1 meter. The thickness is further 10 centimeter, which means the outer diameter over here is about 2.2 meter, which is huge. It is even bigger than a person. So R1 is 1 meter, R2 value is 1.1 meter. Inside pressure is known to us. So I think inside pressure we are going to take very high value, maybe 10 bar. So what we are going to figure out in this particular case, so there are no holes, nothing. This is a solid, this whole nickel is a solid metal. And what we are going to find out from this is that how much through diffusion, so even through solid metal hydrogen is diffusing. So how much of this diffusion is taking place over here, and the species over here we are going to consider is hydrogen, and it is throughout surrounded by air. So it is like a big tank which is kept in air. So if I remember correctly, we will get certain value which is very less, but it will not be 0, it could be several grams, maybe 1 to 10 gram of it will come out every year. So, it illustrates very good example of the application of Fick's law, because you remember these problems we have already solved for the spherical coordinates for heat transfer, where we had the similar type of construction, temperature 1 is high, temperature 2 is low over there and there. So, we used to see some sort of a temperature profile over here. Here we will see the concentration profile. So, I will put concentration C1 here and C2 here. So, the first thing that we want to find out is what are the values of C1 and C2. The second thing we want to find out is, if we assume 1D steady state heat transfer taking place in this particular example, then what are the type of equations that we can use. So, maybe very quickly I will write that equation: 4 pi R1 R2 dAB rho 1 rho 2 minus R1 R2 minus R1. And if you remember, in heat transfer for a sphere, we could write a similar equation: 2 pi R1 R2, we get thermal conductivity T1 minus T2 R2 minus R1. So, very soon we will try and see again some analogy over here and try and see, can we convert directly conduction heat transfer into mass diffusion, and what would be the expression in cylindrical, plane wall as well as the spherical coordinates. So, with that I think we have looked at the details of Fick's equation today, and I would like to conclude today's lecture. We will meet again in the next lecture. Thank you.